Yo viewers, today we're going to have kind of a different video. This is going to be a music video. I've recorded a few music videos in the past, but this time I wanted to talk about kind of my experience with music over the course of my life thus far and what genres I've listened to and stuff like that. I've been involved with music for most of my life. I started playing guitar in like the early to mid 2000s, and I did that for a number of years, and then I stopped, which was a mistake. When I was in middle school, I kind of, I'm not saying I totally lost interest, but I lost some interest in music for whatever reason. I don't know, middle school wasn't my thing. And so then when I got into high school, I became thoroughly fascinated by music again, and I maintained that fascination to this day. After I graduated high school, after I graduated college even, was when I started to play guitar again, because I just had more time, and I picked up bass as well, and the rest is history after that. As far as mediums go, I do remember the cassettes. Of course, they was getting old by the time I remember them, but they were still a thing. And like you would see tape players in cars, and some people still had them. They were used. I remember even in high school, I remember a lot of people had those adapters that would take the cassettes and give you a audio input. So you put this. It was like a fake tape. It wasn't a fake tape. It was like I forget exactly how it worked. I think it had like a loop, a continuous loop or something inside this cassette, and it would write. It had a wire on it. You plug it into a media player, 3.5-inch media player, and it would write whatever you were playing into it onto this reel of tape, and it would play it through the player in the car. I remember those in high school. A number of people had them. So I remember the tapes. I remember the CDs. The CDs are kind of fascinating to me because CDs were the first medium that I remember kind of coming out and being like very popular and like the prime technology at the time. And then I remember it going obsolete. I remember years ago in like the late 2000s, a CD player or a DVD player or whatever was standard on computers up until I would say like 2010, 2012 as when they started disappearing. Of course, stinking Apple got rid of them first, but eventually all the other manufacturers followed, and then the CD players disappeared from the computers. But I remember listening to a lot of music on CDs. There used to be like CD stores. There was stores that you would go to, and all they had was CDs. That it was a music store, and they just sold. They had thousands and thousands and thousands of CDs in those stores. I don't know if there's any of those still around there. I haven't seen one in a long, long time. So those are probably all gone. But they had those, and this is going to date me. I remember when iTunes came out. iTunes came out, I think, in around 2003. Didn't use it so much in 2003, but like in the mid 2000s, I remember we had it was a really crummy Toshiba laptop with the Microsoft Windows XP on it, and that computer had iTunes on it, and I never really liked iTunes. I just never caught on. I used it a little bit. I remember using it a little bit, but I always thought it was kind of a ripoff because at the time, I think it's going up since then, but at the time it was like 99 cents a song, and to me it just seemed like ridiculously expensive. And I mean 15, 20, was it over 20, almost 20 years ago, that was a lot of money. 99 cents could buy something back then. And so to me it was like 99 cents for a song, and there was really no advantage to it because a CD was portable. So you could take a CD in the car, you could take a CD to someone's house and listen to it, you could borrow a CD to listen to a different album. The iTunes, you didn't have that portability yet, because this is pre iPods, pre those stupid phones. even, I guess there would have been MP3 players coming out around that time. I never had an MP3 player, but I do remember those like portable CD players that you had to use with headphones. I remember those. I don't think I ever had them. I remember them being around. And I remember using CDs in the car and in the house, and everyone had a CD player at the time. And then I remember those going obsolete. And I used them up until, I would say I used CDs up until I was in high school. And then Spotify came out. It's hard to imagine the world before all these streaming things. But Spotify came out when I was in high school. And I got that pretty quickly because, again, high school is when I started to get back into music. And so, of course, I only had CDs, and so I was limited to whatever CDs I had on hand, wherever they may have came from, or the radio. Now, where I live, there happens to be a number of radio stations that have been around for a long time. We have WPLR, which has been around for, I think, almost 50 years, and they have always played a lot of music from like the 1990s and older, and so that's been a frequency I always like listening to. They got a lot of good stuff on there. There's also 95.1, I think it's WRKI. That's an older station as well, and they've maintained the playing of the older music that they played when they first started broadcasting. And we also have 102.9. I forget what the letters are, but that's another channel that plays a lot of older music. And then we have 89.5, which is a non-profit station, and they're kind of like more of almost like a musical education kind of channel, and they play stuff from all over the spectrum. And so that's a station I like listening to because you never know what you're going to see on there, or hear on there rather. And there's a couple of other frequencies. Nowadays we have 95.9 WFOX, I think, which is a newer channel which came out more recently. I think they play some older music as well. And then there's 103.5, I think, came out within the last year, and that channel is strange because they'll play some a classic from the 90s or something, and then they'll play an absolute abomination from like last year. So that channel is a hit or miss. But there was there still are a lot of good channels in this area. So I listen to the radio a lot, and I still do in the car. I listen to the radio all the time. So you had that. So that was kind of what I was bound to, was the radio and the CDs. And then when Spotify came out in high school, that was when I started to listen to all different kind of genres, because now, instead of being bound to whatever CDs you had bought or what you heard on the radio, now you could play just about anything you wanted, from all different kinds of genres, because they've got a lot of songs on there now. Even when it first started, they still had a lot of songs, but they had all different stuff from so many different genres, and so that was when I kind of got, I expanded my listening to a multitude of different genres. I always kind of gravitated toward the punk genres, the classic rock genres, country. I liked some disco from the 70s, and there was a lot of good music in the 1980s and the 1990s. A lot of the older hip-hop I like, from the 70s and 80s and 90s. Really, the only two genres I really don't care for would be reggae, and then most of the pop and stuff from today I don't care for. But no, I span across a lot of different genres. And so, with all that being said, the reason for this particular video was that one of my favorite albums, my light just went out. When I was in high school, one of the first albums I had listened to in kind of like the pop punk genre was All Time Low. The particular album was called Nothing Personal. There was another one just prior to that, and I've conveniently forgot what it was called. I'll retrieve it here momentarily. But I had really liked that album. That was one of my favorite albums in high school. And what was the one before that called? Hold on here. Where is it at? Oh, it was called Don't Panic. That one came just afterwards, I think. Was that one afterwards? Oh, yeah, it was. So Nothing Personal was in 2009. And then I remember when that came out. And then I remember So Wrong That's Right as well. A couple songs off there I liked. Actually, I never put up and Shut Up too. That was another good one. And again, those were all from like the late 2000s, 2006, 2007, 8, 9, and then in 2009 with Nothing Personal, I remember that one very, very well. And then I liked a handful of songs from Don't Panic, but they kind of went downhill after that. I didn't care for any of the stuff they released after that, which unfortunately has been a going trend with a lot of the good bands from the 2000s and the 90s. What else was it? Was Blink-182 released an album recently, and it's awful. It just doesn't sound anything like what it used to. That's unfortunately been a going trend. Anyways, the point is, All Time Low released an album in 2019 called It's Still Nothing Personal, a 10-year tribute, and they had gone through and they played through over slightly different renditions of a lot of the songs. I think it was all the songs that was on the original Nothing Personal album. And so, fitting for that time period, I decided that I'm going to do a cover of most of that. I'm not going to go through every single one because it's going to take forever, but I'm going to cover a number of the songs that was on that album just for the sake of nostalgia. So I'll do that, and here we go.